the harrowing scene of a van running over a toddler in the middle of a narrow street in China. The child is in critical condition and the entire video is too much to bear, but it is necessary to show you what happened before and after the accident because of the reaction of bystanders. Take a look at this. You see highlighted there a toddler, 2-year-old girl. She just wandered away from her parents into the street. The van in the distance runs her over, then drives away. We don't know for sure, though, if the driver saw her. But this is what's shocking. How could these people miss her? Security camera footage shows people walking by, people on bicycles, pedaling on, and those in their cars and on their motorcycles just driving past. This went on for a full 10 minutes. No one stopped as a young girl lay in the middle of the street. This is in the city of Foshan. Now you see there a woman with a sack. She's a 58-year-old lady described as a scavenger. She does stop to move the child. Later she tells reporters that I didn't understand why no one else had carried her from the street. Eunice Yoon has been looking at this footage and following this story for us, and she joins us now from Beijing. Eunice, just tell me about some of the soul-searching, some of the reaction that's taking place in China because of this video.
Well, Errol, there's been plenty of soul-searching and plenty of outrage as well because of this video. Many people are just discussing what they perceive as a loss of morality in the Chinese society. A lot of people say China has had years of economic boom, but some observers have been pointing out that China's education system really has failed here, that it's failed to emphasize and reinforce the need to respect human life at a time when 1.3 billion people are all clamoring and rushing to climb up the social and economic ladder. Errol?
And we should note that it happens in other places in the world. We've seen injured people on the street, in public, and bystanders just don't get involved. What would explain why some of the bystanders we see refuse to help?
Well, recently there have been several very influential cases of elderly people who have fallen or collapsed in a public space, and then later they've gone and turned around and really decided to sue the people who have come to their aid. So that's created a genuine concern on a lot of people, on the part of a lot of people here who really are concerned that if they do become a good Samaritan, that they could suffer personal loss.
We're going to talk about what the media has dubbed, or who the media has dubbed, Yue, or, well, her full name, Wang Yue, which is heartbreaking in and of itself because Yue means happy or joy, and it is just an irony, just an irony. She certainly doesn't have joy right now. I guess it would be appropriate to start this vid with an apology. And that apology would be, I'm sorry to all of you for not getting these vids out quick enough. These vids, this series that I wound up making, even though most people only asked for one video, but I made a series out of it because I feel a certain obligation to this particular issue, at least within the various vlogging and blogging communities that I belong to. But this obligation is perhaps one that is perhaps the one that has weighed most on my soul, in that my connection to China is undeniable. And at the same time, I looked at this particular event and saw the greater decay in the human heart. I had to chop up the first vid a little bit, because after recording it, it was 20 minutes long. And I've broken this series into 5 vids. This intro vid, a vid, the second vid, but in that vid I refer to it as the first, but it looks at the law and potential cultural influences that shape the decisions of the drivers and the passers-by. And I want to admit this straight up right now about that vid, is that I may seem cold and calloused and matter-of-fact in that vid, but that is me attempting to be objective. And if you ask me, I don't do a very good job at being objective. I interject a lot of, shall we say, a lot of my global opinion in it. But I wanted to answer the questions that I've been asked. I wanted to answer the questions that I've been asked as to why people might do that in China. Specifically pertaining to China. The second vid is aggressive. I'm taking on the bigotry. The third vid, if you ask me, in my opinion, is perhaps the most important. So if you're watching this now, and you don't want to hear the entire spiel, because this series, if you add it up, is probably going to be somewhere to the tune of an hour. But if you're going to watch one vid, link in the below bar to vid number 3. Because vid number 3 is the one wherein I directly address what I see is horribly wrong with this world, and how this event epitomizes my predisposition towards the human condition. I'm just going to throw that out there, even though I would suggest, and I know my dear friends on here, you all are going to watch every one of them, every one of the parts of this series. So, thank you. You all, you're my inspiration. You all really are. Things like this happen, and I see those passers-by, and then I come on the tubes, and I see you all making your vids, and really, you inspire me. You inspire me. The fourth vid, we're gonna have some Ling in that one. Now there have been some discoveries that I've made since making these other vids this afternoon, and those discoveries include, and I'm going out on a limb here, they include one really good thing and one really bad thing. I'm going to start with the bad thing, because in another video I make a comment about how positive emotion trumps negative. So I want to start with the negative, and we're going to move into the positive. The negative thing is that the lady, as Heather pointed out, that picked up the child, bounced her head off the ground, and then moved her off the street, is being hailed in China as a hero for moving her off the street. And I find that a little sketchy. She bounced the kid's head off the ground and moved her off the street. Considering the severity of the event, could you not do more? But that might have to do with the whole culture of compensation thing that I will be talking in the next video. She's been propped up as a hero in the Chinese media. Granny, I guess it would be the English nickname. And yes, she pulled the child out of the road. I'll give her that much. It prevented a third vehicle from running. Xiao Yue Yue, little joy, off of the road. I guess that's a start. This is largely going underreported by the media, which is kind of upsetting. Perfect example being that tonight I really upset my wife because I had reported earlier that she had known of the story and she hadn't had the chance to tell me because of our work schedules. What I did not know was that she had not seen the video. The video is virtually unseen within the Chinese media. So she got sick to her stomach after reading what she'd read about it in the Chinese media and then seeing what had really happened. So in my opinion, what I believe is happening is that the Chinese are trying to save face right now. And I get it. Every country does it. We try to save face in Iraq and Afghanistan, people. This comes back to vid number 3. This is a human problem. Yes, this event epitomized, well, at least for me, it epitomized. It visually depicted what's wrong with this world, but a few people are going to latch onto it, and they're going to use this as as an engine to attack China, because they've already had a predisposition towards the Chinese. They don't like them. Ignorance is bliss, right, fools? See, I talked about Granny being hero, the Chinese trying to wash up the face, the Chinese media. I shouldn't say the Chinese media, because this goes in to the good news. The Chinese themselves, and I think it would be appropriate for me to at least give me a minute to cite some quotes that the Chinese have been making on Sino Weibo, which, as you all should know by now if you've watched my videos for long enough, is the Chinese equivalent of Twitter. And I'm gonna probably include a video in here, but these are comments from Chinese. Even pigs and dogs are better than they are, said one angry contributor. In China, there's no bottom line for human ethics anymore. China is smashing new records again and again, commented another. This one at the end is probably the most relevant. One person said, now people ignore everything other than money. This society is lacking people with a conscience, with a conscience badly. And again, this ties into an enemy strain, in this move from poverty into riches, and how people focus on the riches and on the material, leaving the values of old to the wayside. There is an uproar in China. I've often talked about Chinese activism and how I'm so very proud of it because, you know, they go out on a limb there. I'm not trying to downgrade Occupy at all, seeing that I'm heavily involved in all of it. But if you were to try Occupy Beijing, you can imagine what the consequences would be. If you were to try Occupy Shanghai, Guangzhou, you could imagine what the consequences would be. So these people going out microblogging, blogging in China, really, and there's millions and millions and millions of them, they are horribly upset by it. And they are questioning the moral character of China, saying that, hey, people, we got to back off. We got to look at some of the older traditions wherein we cared about each other and we weren't focused on trying to achieve this world standard of being modernized. Which, you know, if you do the chicken and the egg thing, and depending on which side you fall on, could be the fault of the West. So I'm not trying to place blame, but I'm trying to show you all just how complicated this all is. This isn't a, this is how Chinese people are kind of thing. This is a, wow, we've got a really big fucked up problem in the world kind of thing. So there's the good news. That made me feel good, knowing and being able to show you that the Chinese, millions, if not a billion or more Chinese people, are just as upset about this as you and I. And a great many of them are going as far as confronting their government officials, saying we need good Samaritan laws. We need to protect people that help victims, as opposed to allowing victims to seek compensation from their saviors. It's that simple. And it seems that Beijing is agreeing with the people for right now. But that'll be a topic for another day, when Beijing finally does codify an agreement saying, hey, enough with this horrible litigatory practice. Let's bring in some new laws. And so please, I know my friends will watch this with an open mind and an open heart. To all of you who have no clue who I fucking am, once more, please watch it with an open mind and an open heart, and really pay attention to the message. And then look around you, look at your circumstances, and look at the circumstances of your neighbors, your friends, and the guy walking down the street right now. And ask yourself, what can I do? Can I write a troll comment and say fuck the Chinese, or can I try and make a difference in this world? And I really hope it's the latter of the two and not the former. Later. Peace.